Does human design feel like a foreign language? You are not stupid, and I'm going to tell you why.
Welcome to Functional Human Design and Our Living Room. I'm Reed, and
I'm Jess.
take it away.
We have Reed on the camera back there, and we're going to have so much fun. This video is going to be kind of like a masterclass on why on earth would you want to learn human design. It is a lot and a lot of information. So we're going to break it down real simple, and we're going to have a ton of fun. You're just going to go on a journey with me. But you might want to grab a coffee or a tea or a tasty beverage, definitely a pen and paper. And you can always just save or comment or share or whatever you're doing on whatever platform, so you can come back to this video and maybe take notes a second time. Because I know when I first started, I would have watched this video multiple times because human design is crazy complex. Now, it's not just like astrology, but it includes astrology. It's actually 8 different modalities in one. And why on earth would you want to take your time to learn something that's so complex? And why would I be taking the time to learn something that's so complex? It's because of what it did for my family, what it did for my life. So first, let's go through the bullet points. Human design is going to give you a map, not just of your energetic blueprint, but the entire energetic blueprint of the planet. It's also going to help you understand who you are, who you're not, what you need to learn throughout this life, like the things that are like the hiccups and your giddy ups, the problems that you have. And it's going to show you how to better love and care for the people in your family, your partner, and your team. So it definitely impacts your business and your family. I can look at a chart and understand the potential of a person and the shadows of a person, but that doesn't tell me their alignment, like how close to living their truest self they are. And so it's a really, really, really handy tool for making decisions when it comes to how you help your family, how you love your family, and then who you choose to do business with, how you choose to partner with people. It gives you like basically an entire roadmap of humanity. So what the heck makes me so special as to how do I have this great knowledge of how to explain it? Really, my human design chart showed me that I have weird knowledge, and I didn't know how I had weird knowledge. Part of it is my 6-2 profile. I know you don't understand what that means yet. We'll get there. Part of it is that my head is lit up like a damn Christmas tree. And part of it is that I've had a really long life of wild adventures. I have been doing some kind of coaching or consulting, working with trauma survivors literally since I was 18 years old, and doing business turnarounds. So now I'm 46. How long is that? In that time, from 18 to 46, I've learned a lot along the way. And when I first discovered human design 5 years ago, my relationship with Reed was a disaster. Things with our kids were really difficult. Life was really challenging for us because of the relational aspects. And a friend of mine was like, hey, you know, they have like this blueprint, human design. And I was like, you know what? I don't fall for that. I'm naturally skeptical. I'm like, nah, I've already gone through Christianity, came out the other side. I'm not going to do that again. And she's like, well, just look at it. I think you'd really like it, and play with it for a second. And when I first heard it, they said things like, follow your strategy and authority. And they're still saying that. And that's very good advice. But what the hell does that mean? And basically, for me, as a manifesting generator and an emotionally defined person, that meant that I needed to like hang out and respond to myself and things in the world, and then make decisions with my emotions. And I was like, okay, I'll try that. I'll just see what happens with just that information. And over the next year, my mind was completely blown as to the magic that started to happen. And I just started to do more and more research. Now, because it is such an incredibly complex system, as a manifesting generator, like type A personality, like rah, 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 I want to eat the world, I had to really slow down. I was already 5 years ago, I was in deep burnout. I was exhausted, and I knew that I could not jump in too fast. And that was actually one of my greatest gifts, was that I gave myself time and space and permission to go slow, because there's a big difference between knowing something in your head and integrating it into your body. And that's another reason why I think human design really jumped out to me, because I have a huge portion of the circuitry of integration. And I know you don't know what that means. It'll be okay. We'll get there. But that integration means that I don't just learn things, I embody things. So as I was raising my family, I was embodying these nuances, these ideas, these paradoxes, and was building teaching and programs and things like that for decades. But I didn't have a roadmap. I was just like, I'd try this thing with this person, try this thing with this person. Some things would resonate with certain people and then not with other people. And I didn't quite know how to put all that together. It was like my tinker toy brain was just seeing all these different options. And when human design came in, I was like, holy shit, like everything is laid out in this giant map. And that map is enormous. So being overwhelmed when you first start, totally acceptable and normal. You are remarkably human. When I look at the fullness of human design, even after 5 years, it's still overwhelming to me. There's entire areas that I don't even understand, because it includes things like biology, genetics, astronomy, astrology, the I Ching, the tree of life, quantum mechanics, and one other thing that I can't think of right now. So, like, how many people spend their entire life studying just genetics? How many people spend their entire life studying just biology? So when you're looking at this huge system, understand you are trying to comprehend the entirety of the universe. Humans, our energetic systems, all of our nuances, and how we show up in the world. That's a lot of shit. And it's going to be okay, because you don't need to learn all of it. You just need to know how to apply it to you. And that's why we created functional human design, because healing and doing shadow work and that journey, it should be fun and functional. What's the point of anything if it's not going to help you live a better life, love better, make more money, and have a good freaking time? So when you first get your chart, you're going to get something that looks like this. And I know it looks crazy complex, but that's not even the full chart. Your full chart actually looks like this. This is what's called a rave mandala. And if you look at it, you'll see that there's the 8 different types of observable science and like what we would call science today within the chart. So we have the I Ching, we have astrology, we have the chakra system, we have also the tree of life. They're blended together in order to create this chart. But then we also have astronomy, you have genetics and biology and quantum mechanics, because each one of these 64 numbers around there, they're called gates in human design. Each one of those 64 numbers is also connected to our DNA sequencing and our genetic codons. And if you study biology, please learn more about this so I can understand what the hell it is, because it's really complex. So this is a full rave mandala, and it's based on like an astrology circle, except it has 8 different modalities, so 7 others on top of astrology mixed in, which is what makes it so complex. And why? Because humans are complex, because the entire planet is complex, and we're living on a floating rock in space, going who knows where. So for the purpose of this video, we're going to stick with the basic chart, because this is a lot and it overwhelms even me. Okay? So when you first get your chart, it's gonna look something like this. This is me. Hi, I'm Jess. There's a lot going on here. So let's just walk through a few of the parts. The first thing that you're gonna notice is that part of your chart is colored in and part of it is not. This is one of the biggest misconceptions around human design. You have the entire thing. Whether it's undefined, so it's a white space in your chart, or it's defined, it's colored in, you have all of it. It just functions differently, whether it is defined, it's a part of me, Or if it's undefined, it's something that I need to learn and will learn as I'm interacting with other people and other humans. When you look at my entire family, all 7 of us overlaid onto one chart, you see that in my family, we have 57 of the 64 gates. And so that was how I learned so much. I've been raising kids for 24 years. And suddenly it made a lot of sense. When it comes to the language, it feeling like a foreign language, let's work through some of the definitions. You have 9 centers. So there's 9 of them. You have a root, sacral, solar plexus, spleen, heart, G center, throat, ajna or third eye, and head. So you can think of this like the chakra system. But when you combine the chakra system and the tree of life, you get these splits. So your heart center became both a heart and a G center. Your solar plexus became both a solar plexus and spleen. And it just allows, for me, greater nuance between understanding what is like an intuitive knowing and my spleen, or my feelings and nervous system, my solar plexus. So the 9 centers on your chart are either defined, they're filled in, or they're undefined, they're white. Now, also on the chart, there are the 64 numbers. You will have 13 on your personality side. You will have 13 on your design side. Personality, what the hell does that mean? Personality is your conscious self. So if someone is younger, if you're like 30 and under, you might want to only look at the black side or the personality side of your chart, because this is more conscious for you. Somewhere around 40, our subconscious comes online, and that is the other side of our chart. That's the design side. Our design is basically a second birth chart based on 88 days or 88 degrees based on where the planets are when you were born. So you have your subconscious is the design, your consciousness is your personality. And so they play off of each other. This is also why somewhere around our 40s or 50s, we have a midlife crisis. What is happening is our subconscious is coming online, whether we like it or not. Now, if you're learning about this early, you can actually gain access to your subconscious when you're younger. Our children are doing it, and it's been amazing because they're able to see the shadows and the potential problems that they may have that they're not going to have to experience because they understand their chart earlier in life. So we have centers, defined and undefined. We have our personality, our consciousness, our design, our subconscious, and we have gates. Gates are the 64 numbers that go all the way around the mandala. Now, at the moment you were born, you received a snapshot, kind of like being the image of God. You are a snapshot of the universe at the moment you were born. And you're like, how does that, like, why does that matter? That was my problem with astrology. I didn't understand, like, how the universe knew that when I was born, that made my birth chart. That made no damn sense. Neutrino. What the hell is neutrino? I had never heard of that word before. We're just going to call it stardust. Basically, you're on a planet. It's giving off neutrino. The moon has neutrino that it's giving off. It's all these little molecules, Mars, Jupiter, Mercury, and freaking Gatorade giving off neutrino when it starts looking like it's going backwards, but it's actually not. Like that, all of that, the planets are giving off molecules, neutrino, they're microscopic, and that imprint, wherever the planets are in the solar system right now, gives us a specific dose of neutrino or stardust, and that stardust is what creates our personality. Whoa, how does that even happen? I don't know. If you can solve the mysteries of the universe, please, like, inform me. But I don't know how it happens. It just does. and it's freakishly accurate. So the stardust at the moment you were born had these specific gates and these specific gates in your subconscious. Again, I don't know how. It's like magic or something. So each one of these gates, there's 64 of them, are connected to the I Ching. The I Ching is like a 5,000-year-old book. It's called the Book of Changes. The I Ching was used for making decisions, for understanding paradoxes and nuances, because in our head, when we have a paradox, it's like cognitive dissonance is what they call it medically. What it really is like a giant brain fuck. But yet up here, it fucks with us. When we can bring that paradox down into our body, it becomes understandable. We can hold two complex things at the same time and it be okay. And we can enjoy that process, but up in our head, it just creates chaos. So that's the difference between knowing something and embodying it, is understanding, can we hold the paradox? Now, the I Ching, because it's ancient wisdom, it's really hard to read. And Ra, the creator of human design, he had a very like open source, like prove my shit kind of attitude. He passed away in 2011, but he's allowed other people to not change his work, but build upon it. So that's how you get things like the gene keys. The gene keys is basically the I Ching, except way more modern, way easy to read, and it shows the entire spectrum. Oh, this is the next part. The spectrum from gift to shadow, and then he has another layer called city. So each one of these 64 numbers all the way around connects to a gate on your chart. So like my 20 and 34 right here are my 20 and 34 right here. And you see right here, 20, 34, 20, 34. So when you're in an app or you're in one of the human design programs, you should be able to click on each one of these and get a greater explanation of what it is. But there's more numbers here than just the gates. So like my 20 is 20.6. That 0.6 is defining the line that goes with the gate. Let's explain that, because I talk about lines a lot, because lines are one of my favorite parts. Each one of these gates, like one, we're going to look at gate one. Gate one has 6 lines within it. So each of the 6 lines are the same all the way through the chart. So if I'm talking about a line 1 or line 1 in your profile, I'm talking about the person who is the researcher, the anchor, the foundation of the entire system. That is the base foundation is line 1. And they build up to line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, and line 6. But each of those build within each gate. So we're looking at a gate and then a specific line within the gate. Now there are 2 other levels deeper, but we don't talk about that because it's too complicated. So we have the gate 20, line 6 is how you read that. You can read all the way down your chart. Gate 24, line 4. So that's why I think it's so important that people learn all 6 lines, because when you understand the lines as like a costume that we wear, you can very quickly learn, oh, line 3 is like a fuck around and find out. We're going to trial and error. We're going to go on adventures. And so it doesn't matter where you see a line 3, or if someone says, I'm a 3-1 or a 3-5 or a 6-3, you can always know, oh, they're a 3 line, they're a 6 line, they're a 5 line. You can see the lines very quickly and easily, and it's a great way to understand the costume of who you are. So now we have centers, gates, lines, and you have lines on both sides of your chart. Next, you have channels. When you have gates down in your chart and it's just a line, but it's not connected on the other side, I call those hanging gates. Because when it's a hanging gate, it's looking for the other side of itself. So it's like, I have this knowing of who I am, and I want the other side of that. And when you have two gates that come together, look up in my head, I have 5 gates, but 2 of them, or 4 gates, create 2 channels. And so what that is it's one gate has another gate, and they work together to create a fluid flow of energy in my body from my head to my ajna. So this is a channel. When 2 gates come together, it creates a channel, and that channel is what makes the different centers defined. So when you have any channel that connects 2 centers, that lights up that center and makes it defined. Now there's single definitions, split definitions, triple splits, and quadruple splits. I'll show you my triple split. So my head is connected with those 2 channels to my ajna, but then it's disconnected between my throat. I have 1 gate here and then 1 gate here, but they don't actually connect. So that means my head and ajna are one energetic system, and then my throat down to my spleen to my sacral creates a second energetic system, and then my solar plexus and my heart create a third energetic system. But you can see that they're not connected to each other. So that means inside of me, when I'm all by myself and I'm not impacted by anyone else in the world except the transits, and we'll get to transits, when I am all by myself, I can feel like I have different parts of me, and those parts of me come out depending on who I'm talking to or how I'm engaging with my family or the world. So all through my life, I've been like, wow, I'm really up in my head, or wow, I'm really crazy, or oh, I'm so deeply emotional. It's because I have 3 different energetic systems within my body. People who are a single definition have a tendency to be a lot more independent. The more splits you have, the further apart your splits are. So if my head was defined and then I was just down here, that's a really wide split. So I might feel like there's 2 very separate parts of me. The closer your splits are, the easier it is to learn how to connect them. Because in our white spaces, we can learn and evolve and make choices. Let's circle back around to defined and undefined. In your defined areas, so all of your gates, channels, and centers, these numbers truly define who you are. Where this really, really hit me was when I was studying both autism and neurodiversity and narcissism and mental disorders. I found a consistent thread where it seems like the best evidence, the best case studies are when we're studying twins, because the question really is it nature or is it nurture? So what happens when twins experience different households, like through adoption, and their nature and nurture are separated? Over and over, I kept coming up with this same approximately 70-30 split. And it just blew my mind in both topics of discovery, neurodiversity and mental disorders. And I was like, what is going on here? Why is it that all the twin studies end up with approximately a 70-30 split? And then it hit me. Our design, both our conscious and subconscious, our chart is who we are. It is not changeable. That's why they say things like narcissism can never be healed. It can never be changed. And I don't agree with that, because what we see when we see things like narcissism is they may have an imprint. Their 70% of who they are is absolute, but that 30% is the spectrum of free will, of choice within each of our gates and lines. Let me give you an example. Ted Bundy and Mother Teresa have quite similar charts. There's a lot of other charts that are very similar, but I want you to see the entire spectrum of free will. You have someone who was very much not okay, and someone who did a lot of good in the world, but also had a lot of problems. The entire point is that they made choices within their personality, within their design, as to what they were going to do with the skin suit they were given. That 30% spectrum is a super huge spectrum. And this is where gene keys really comes in. When you are studying the 64 gates, not the lines, the gates, when you're studying the 64 gates, it will help you see from the shadow, both reactive and repressive, all the way to the gift and then to a highest self called the city. So it gives us this huge spectrum of our potential options within our 70% imprint that is not changeable. So when you're looking at your chart, it's going to give you a lot of information and words really that don't make a lot of sense. You'll have a section on there that has, well, your profile, your type, your strategy, your authority, incarnation, cross, definition, signature, and not self theme. Let's roll through those definitions. Your profile is based on your lines. Where you're going to find it is the top 2 digits of your chart on both your conscious and subconscious side. So your profile, mine is a 6-2 because it says 0.6, 0.2. Those refer to our lines. So there are 12 different profiles, and all they are is a combination of your line in your conscious and your line in your subconscious, and that puts together this character or like costume of who you are. We have videos on all 6 of the lines. You can see them in our free school community or on our YouTube channel, but those are very, very helpful to understand the nuances of each line. So your profile is really just those first 2 lines, and that's it. And mine says role model and hermit. And sometimes I don't really like the things that are here. Sometimes it's like martyr or heretic, and they're really kind of ugly. And so definitely go check out the lines video because that'll help you understand your profile a lot better. Now, the next section is your type. Now, there are 4 different types. There is a manifester, a generator that has a subtype of manifesting generator. There's projectors and reflectors. Now, those 4 types, why am I doing 4 like that? Those 4 types are also connect to your strategy, your signature, and your not self. So when we're talking about type, strategy, signature, and not self, we are talking about the same thing. What all of that means is that you have a type, and it's really more of an aura type. It's how your vibe or aura interacts with other people. It's how people perceive you. So the 4 types of auras, very simply, we have other videos on this, but I want to run through it because it's so simple and so important. The manifestor aura is like a bubble. They have the ability to have like invisibility superpowers. They are the leaders of the pack because their bubble protects people and themselves. The safest place on the planet is inside of a manifestor bubble. Reed is a manifestor. One of our daughters is a manifestor. It is profound how safe and amazing their hugs are. And it can also be a really dangerous place because each of the auras have a strategy, and for manifestors, it's to inform, and it's because their aura feels like this bubble that's just coming through. So they have to inform people, excuse me, I'm doing this thing, I'm going this direction. Their signature is peace, because manifestors can be kind of bullheaded, like they're really kind of pushy, because what makes a manifestor is when they have a motor to the throat. I haven't explained what motors are. We'll come back to that. So a motor to the throat is what makes a manifestor. Their signature is peace. You can tell when a manifestor is in their alignment because they feel peace. Now, they're not self-theme or their shadow. The potential ugliness that they are is anger. Now, this can come out as aggressive or passive, but there's a deep underlying anger. So that's why these four go together, because you have a type, an aura, and that aura has a certain strategy, and that aura has a signature, their highest self piece, and they have their frustrated, angry self, their not self theme, which is anger. So let's run through the other three types of auras. Generators and manifesting generators. The difference between them is manifesting generators have a motor to the throat. Generators have the sacral, because the sacral is what makes a generator, but none of their motors are connected to their throat, because all of our energy is trying to come out of our throat. Actually, let's just jump into that real quick. One of the things that human design shows is our entire energetic blueprint. So the flow of energy in our body is we have our head and our root. Both of these are pressure centers, and they push all the energy out the throat. So we have head pressure, thinking about shit that doesn't matter, root pressure, and it's all getting pushed out, whether it's defined or undefined. Then you have three awareness centers. This is like your checks and balances within yourself. Is this healthy for me? Is this correct for me? Or is it not? Are you working with your programming, like your conditioning, all the shit you learned when you were growing up, all the horrible things you heard? Are you living in that? Or are you operating from full consciousness? Those are your three awareness centers that help you. I call them filters, because they help you make better decisions when you clear your filters. Your three awareness centers are your spleen, your ajna, and your solar plexus. And notice, like it's blocking, it's protecting the energy of what's coming out of your throat. Now you have four motors. So the root's a motor because it gives us the oomph to do things. We have this pressure to go and do in the world. We have our sacral, which is our life force energy, our creativity, our sexuality. It's all the oomph. It's what I'm using right now. It's like, woo, there we go. There's the sacral. Then we have our solar plexus, which is waves of energy, why you can get stuff done. These are all motors. They help you do things. You can't get anything done when you're down, but you can get a lot of stuff done when you're up. The solar plexus works like a motor because it helps you go places. The heart is the center of willpower. So it's a strength to get things in the third dimensional plane. It's where money comes from, right here. So these four are motors. Your G center, right in the center, this is your identity, your love, direction. Do you know who you are? And mine is empty, and so no, I don't, and I never will, and that's okay. So we have four motors, three awareness centers, two pressure centers, and knowing who you are, and one manifestation center, because everything is trying to come out our throat so we can have what we desire in this reality. So the difference between a generator and a manifesting generator is a manifesting generator has one of the four motors connected to the throat and the sacral defined. Generators have the sacral. So the 70% of humanity has the sacral defined. Manifesting generators have the same aura type. They just have one of the four motors connected to the throat. So the aura of generators and manifesting generators, we are like giant freaking magnets. We pull everything to us, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. We pull it all to us. And without manifestors around, sometimes it can be really icky. Without knowing really strong boundaries, without really making the decisions within your circuitry of defense, then you can have a lot of hiccups. This was how I ended up being trafficked. Without having this circuitry, the circuitry of defense, and a deep knowing of how to protect yourself, you end up in really wild situations, especially if you're a line 3 or line 6, because it causes this experimentation, but then you don't know how to defend yourself. And so a lot of generators get really angry and frustrated over time because they don't know how to stop this magnetic nature. This is a huge reason why I've struggled with my weight my entire life, because I found that having extra weight on me protected me from some of the most dangerous people. So there's a lot of things that human design can really answer for you and help you bring things into your consciousness so you can really work on them or not. I happen to like biscuits and gravy, and if you're being trafficked, if biscuits and gravy is what kills me, so fucking be it. I'm living to have a good time, and I love bacon. So the strategy of a generator type or a manifesting generator is to respond, meaning we pull everything to us. We're just living, we're having a good time, we're listening to our sacrals, and we are responding to the things that come to us. When we are in alignment, our signature or our highest self is satisfaction. We feel very satisfied with what we've done. It's like, oh, good job. You've accomplished, you've done, you've created, and you just feel satisfied. Our not self or our shadow, the ugly parts of us, how we know when we're out of alignment, our not self theme is frustration. The moment I feel frustrated, I just stop. And I know I need to come back into my body, feel the next thing, and come back into finding satisfaction with what I'm doing. Many times I just need to eat or take a nap, maybe dance around for a little bit. I just need to do something different. So manifestors, their aura is like a bubble. Generators, our aura is like a magnet. Projectors, your aura is like a sponge with spikes. And it is so much fun. Projectors are so awesome and unique. They're approximately 20% of society. They are the wisdom. They are the guides. Projectors do not have a sacral defined, and they do not have a motor to the throat. So manifestors have any motor to the throat, but no sacral. Generators have the sacral defined. Manifesting generators have a motor to the throat. Projectors do not have a sacral and do not have a motor to the throat. So their aura is like a sponge. They absorb everything around them. In that process, they get a lot of wisdom. They move a lot slower than the rest of the world because there's no sacral or no motor to the throat. So they just have a tendency to move slower. In that process, they observe more. They're the only type that doesn't learn or doesn't have to learn through experience. Most of us have to learn through experience in some way. Projectors, because they don't have the same problems typically of needing to slow down. It depends on how you've been conditioned by the world. Have you been told you have to do? That'll sure fuck a projector up. But projectors generally move slower. That gives them more wisdom, and that creates those pokey spikes on their sponge because they have a tendency to say the most profound things. And sometimes it's really hard to hear. And so they drop hard wisdom real fast. And that's why the projector, it's so important for them to follow their strategy of waiting for the invitation. They're waiting for the person to say, hey, give me your advice on this. Hey, can you guide me with this? Because when their wisdom is not honored, it causes bitterness. And bitterness is their not self theme. So in their shadow, projectors can become very bitter. In their gift, they have amazing success. So their signature is success. Their not self theme is bitterness. Their strategy is to wait for the invitation. And all of that is based on their aura type. Now, reflectors are the last and the smallest of all of them because they're not small people, but they only have 1% of the population. Like, man, they could be big people. I don't know. Depends on the reflector. So reflectors are the smallest percentage of the population. They're only 1% of the people in humanity. Manifestors are 9%. Generators are split about even 35-35 for both generators and manifesting generators. Projectors are about 20%. Reflectors are about 1% of the population. They are not small unless, of course, they are genetically wired that way, in which case they are small, and they are rare. That's the word I'm looking for. Right? So reflectors don't have anything defined in their chart. Their charts are completely open and they just have a whole bunch of hanging gates. And that means their aura does not absorb like a projector aura. It works more like a Teflon pan. They are like a mirror for everyone else, and they move especially slow, or really need to move slow. They need to wait like an entire lunar cycle in order to be able to make healthy decisions. So reflector auras are like mirrors to the world. And they're really profound people. I've only ever met a few of them, and they were all in one family, which just speaks to the genetics over and over again. But they have really deep wisdom, really deep knowing. So the signature of the reflector is surprise and awe. This is their highest self. Now, they're not self-theme, or when they're out of alignment, what they're feeling is generally disappointment or sadness. And it's because reflectors have to wait like a whole lunar cycle. Like they really have to sit in and feel everything around them. And because they're reflective, they have to really wait, because they can be really harmed by the environment and the people they're around. It's really important for them to wait a lunar cycle on decisions, or understanding like what they're going to do, partnerships, how they're going to respond to the people around them, because it just takes longer for them to make decisions. Okay, so now we've covered our profiles, our types, our aura types, our strategy, why it's important to inform or respond or wait for the invitation or wait an entire lunar cycle. We've also covered signature, your highest self, how you know when you're in alignment and feeling good. Your not self-theme, how you feel when you're out of alignment and feeling kind of shitty. Let's come to authority next, because what you hear is a lot in human design circles is follow your strategy and authority. Your strategy being like understand how your aura works and then live in accordance with it. And your authority meaning how you make decisions. This is one of my favorite parts, because when I understood how to make the best decisions for me, it changed everything. So if you have the solar plexus defined, you are going to be an emotional decision maker, which means you wait through the entire ups and downs of making that decision, and then actually make the decision when you're somewhere in the middle. But you need to feel all of it in order to make healthy decisions for you. Now, if your authority is sacral, this means you're going to answer really with your gut. And my grunt, you hear my gut and my grunt. You hear my sacral a lot in my speaking, because I have a tendency to grunt. It's the yeps, it's the nope, it's the yeah, uh-huh, uh-uh. That is our sacral speaking. So if you've conditioned yourself to not listen to your sacral and you have it defined, it's really important to have people ask you good yes/no questions so you can come back into your sacral and listen to it. So if you have the solar plexus, you're emotionally defined. If you don't have the solar plexus, but you have the sacral, then you are sacrally defined. If you don't have either of those, but you have the spleen, you are spleenically defined. Now, these three are like over 90% of humanity. The spleen is an immediate yes, no, or an immediate do this, call this person, change lanes. Your spleen is that quiet voice that speaks in the instant, right now, and never again. Because in 5 minutes, the situation's going to be different. You're not going to be able to get that person on the phone. You're not going to have time to change lanes in 5 minutes. The spleen is an immediate knowing. Now, there's other types of authority also. I'm not going to go through them. There's 4 other types. There is an ego authority, there's a G-center authority, there's a mental authority. It just depends on which options. I can go through them, but it's the same types of concepts. You make your decision here, you make your decision here, you make your decision here, or a reflector with nothing defined, you wait a full 28 days before making a decision. So your authority is how you make decisions. Understanding your aura and your decision making is the fastest way to start getting results with human design. Because when you just honor those 2 parts of you, everything will change. Add in the understanding of your profile or your lines, things are going to start moving a lot faster for you. So the last part is your incarnation cross in this basic general about of your human design. So your incarnation cross is also one of my favorites. I think I just like the whole thing. Your incarnation cross is kind of like your zodiac. Like if I were to tell you I'm a Gemini, and I am, that would help you know more about me. However, my Gemini is like, there's only 12 of them in total. So it's going to give you a good idea about me, but it's not going to get you very specific because we have like 8 billion people on this planet and 12 zodiacs. And so, or astrology placements, and I know there's all the others, but it's just not as specific. With incarnation crosses, there's 768 more specific incarnation crosses. So when you're looking at it, the incarnation cross, mine doesn't have a number by it, but some of them will say something like Cross of the Sleeping Phoenix 2 or Cross of the Sleeping Phoenix 4. It's because there are 4 subtypes of the Cross of the Sleeping Phoenix. That's what gives us 768 incarnation crosses. Now, compared to astrology, it's way more specific because if you have 8 billion people going into 12 buckets, that's pretty loose. We've got broad categories. 8 billion people going into 768 categories. Your incarnation cross is a lot more specific to your entire life purpose. But where does your incarnation cross come from within your chart? So you will see numbers by it. So I am the left angle cross of duality. Then it says 20, 34, 37, 40. Where the heck does that come from? Right here. 20, 34, 37, 40. Our incarnation cross is a combination of our sun consciousness, earth consciousness, and then our sun subconscious and earth subconscious. This is one of the things that blew me away about human design versus astrology. In astrology, we look at all the planets, and I really do love astrology. I really do. I just feel like it's inadequate in some ways, as a lot of things are, and human design is inadequate in other ways too. We're just not talking about that part right now. In astrology, we talk about all these other planets, but why don't we ever have an Earth placement? Sometimes to me, it seems like we miss the most important and obvious things in front of us. It is the planet we're on and the position of the sun. And that just blew my mind. I'm like, we miss this most simple things. Why are we talking about the sun, the moon, and rising? When are we going to talk about the actual planet, the most neutrino or stardust that we get of all of them? Because it's the planet we're on. So your incarnation cross is the combination of these first 2 placements, your sun and earth, and these 2 placements, your sun and earth, both conscious and subconscious. Those 4 placements account for a massive part of who you are, and that gives you your incarnation cross. So when you're first starting, it's super important to just look at this general about, understand how the flow of energy works in your body, understand that you have all of it, and that your weakest points are probably going to come from your openness or the white parts of your chart. The things that you really know are going to come from the black side of your chart or the personality side, your consciousness. The things that you can feel, but they're like kind of like, woo, out there, are going to be in your subconscious parts of your chart. So it's not about just looking at who you are, it's also looking at who you're not. So you can take those parts of you off and then learn to make better decisions for yourself. Because the white parts of your chart, they act kind of like a bowl or a bucket. And each one of those gates, like the root itself has 9 gates in it. That's like having a bowl with 9 fruit, but I don't have any fruit in my basket. I don't have anything in it. And so I have to decide, am I going to put a healthy fruit into my basket, or am I going to put rotten fruit into my basket? Because each one of these gates indicate a decision or a choice. I can tell you stories from my life for all of the 64 gates where I've understood it, I've experienced it, I've learned something from it, and I came out the other side. That's how you put healthy fruit in your undefined buckets. And that's actually where some of our greatest strengths come from. I teach a lot of grounding and identity work because I've had to learn a lot about grounding and I've had to learn a lot about identity because these are the weakest parts of my chart. Generally, projector charts are a lot more empty. Generally, that's very loose, but that's part of what gives them so much wisdom. The more undefined your chart is, the more options you have, the more free will you have to be able to decide what goes into your bucket and what doesn't. So we're almost done. We have 2 more sections. Transits, what are they? And then understanding family charts. So when you're looking at your human design chart, there's some buttons down here. And this is the Neutrino Design app. I'm old school, so I took screenshots and printed them because I wanted to be able to point like this. So there's a button called transits. What are transits? They're just like astrology transits. A child born right now would have this right now chart because that's what the neutrino, the stardust, is doing to the energy of the planet right now. So a transit is just a snapshot of the universe at this given moment. Now, I don't follow transits very much. I follow them loosely, and I'm going to show you how and why. I found in my experimenting that when I followed the transits, I had a tendency to put expectations on things. I would know that, oh, next week's going to be a money week. And so I would expect things and then they wouldn't happen. Oh, next week's going to be a hard week. Guess what? It's definitely going to be a hard week. So I have found that I don't actually watch transits because it's more important for me to be in alignment with who I am and feeling my satisfaction, feeling my signature. When I am living in my alignment, I feel and work with the transits very naturally. Now, if I'm going to plan a business launch or something like that, I'm generally looking at the seasons of the year because each of the 4 seasons dictates the energy and the vibe of the planet. So if you're looking to follow transits, try following seasons because it's actually much easier to come into alignment with who you are. You can think about it like how they do with the Farmer's Almanac. In the fall, we harvest. In the winter, we rest. In the spring, we plant. In the summer, we sow, we do. And then in the fall, we harvest. In the winter, we rest. And it just goes round and round. So I don't follow the exact transits because I have a tendency to like get my mind in the way, and that really wonks with my alignment. There are a couple things that I do follow. When you look at your chart, sometimes your undefined areas become defined. And so that helps me just know, oh, that center, again, I'm just looking at it loosely. Oh, I have my G center defined today. I'm going to have a greater knowing of who I am. Oh, my roots defined today. I have a greater ease in being grounded. I'm not going to have to work as hard. So really, I just briefly look at my transits and see whether or not I have any new defined centers. Today, I do not. And so I'm just going to keep functioning the way I normally do. But I do look at the lines. You find the lines in the same spot on the transit chart as you do your chart. So in this transit chart, I have me on this side. So both my conscious and subconscious are the green, and the transit is the yellow. So this is the planet right now at the moment I took this screenshot a couple hours ago. It is currently a line 6 day. So the current transits of the sun and the earth are 40.6 and 37.6. That 0.6 tells me it's a line 6 day. Line 6 days mean I'm going to have greater explanation. I'm going to have a deeper knowing. I am a line 6 shooting this video on a line 6 day because I know that works for me. Because line 6 days have a deeper knowing of what is coming in the future, what is happening in the past. So the same lines of our profile are the same lines of the day. It's the energy of the day. So your line 1 days, you might want to do research on that day. Line 2 days, you're going to want to be creative. Line 3 days, I prefer not to drive. That's when most of the car accidents and disasters happen. Line 4 days are deeply nurturing and expansive, networking. Line 5 days, I'm going to want to go out and talk to people and talk and share and create social media. Line 6 days, I'm going to have a deeper knowing of what is to come and what has happened. I'm going to have a deeper understanding. So really, I just look at what centers are defined and what line day it is. Now, according to the way our solar system works, if you've ever studied the calendar, you know that, this is why we have a leap year. It's not accurate. According to how the sun circles around, the sun doesn't fucking circle around anything. According to how the earth circles around the sun, it's actually more like 23 hours. You can play with it on the chart because there's a little slider bar right here and it'll tell you the changes. You can also open this and you can slide it around to see, oh, when is my root going to be defined? Or when is my solar plexus going to be online? You'll find that it's really kind of helpful if you're just looking at it from a broad overview of your centers and the line day that it is, and then focus on your alignment with who you are and your family and your business and those types of things. Because if you get too inundated with trying to understand the transits, it makes things go wonky. And you don't want to mess with your money, stay in alignment. It'll make your family, your money, everything a lot easier. So not only do you have your individual chart, you can actually take 2 charts and put them together. So this chart is Reed and I together. So on one side is me, on one side is Reed, and you can see how our energies flow intertwining together. This is where it gets really fun. So if you have 2 of the same gates, so if you look up here in our head, we both have the 63 and 64 in our head. And so when you have the same gates, it's going to feel like you're like a twin flame, oh, they're just like me. They know these parts of me. We're going to have this part of our personality in common, which is really cool because now we can take all the emotional shit out of it and be like, oh shit, we've just got a bunch of matching gates. No wonder we feel so cool together. Are we actually right for each other? Ah, that's helpful, right? Now, there's the other part where you have one gate and then they have another gate and they come together and create a circuit. And that's how you end up with our G center being defined, because I have this circuitry, he has the 10, and that together lights up our G center. Because all that it takes for a center to be defined is those energies connecting. And so him and I together have a defined G center. And so that means when we're around each other, we both have a greater sense of knowing of who we are, the direction we're going, the love that we have. It really does make a difference. So what happens when you have 2 gates? He's one side and I'm the other side, and they come together. That creates an energetic connection, what we would call soulmates, where, oh, they complete me. They're the other part of me. And we have this not just in intimate relationships, but with our children, business partners, coworkers. We can feel these things happening but we haven't before had a map to be able to see what's mine, what's his, how we work together, and really have this awareness that we can utilize each other in a way that's helpful for both of us. Now, it gets really fun when you go from putting 2 people together to putting 7 people together. This is our family, and we have almost the entire chart. We have 57 of the 64 gates, and that is a lot to look at. You can see why it's so hard to raise a family. But in this specific app, it's really cool because they give you another graph, and they have it for both family and for business. So this chart is marked family. So I did it for both our family, but this is a family style chart, and this is a business style chart. So it gives you within family the ability to know who does what types of roles best. Think about that. What types of roles do you do in your business or in your family best? And it also shows the gaps. So, like in our family, we have a big gap in tradition and a big gap in discovery. But we've got things like understanding the past and the present and the future pretty well. We have understanding the world, the demands of the world, and home pretty well. We've got pretty moderate understanding, this person does, of inner flow. This person has understanding of the material world. These people, demonstration. This person, discipline. So it shows us the gift of each person because each person is a color demonstrated on a larger chart. And then they just have different titles for it if it's for business, where discipline would be administration, demonstration would be public relations. So you can use the chart whether it's for business or family, but it helps you see the strengths and weaknesses of your team. And that's a huge asset to be able to know how we work together as a team and who does what where. Oh, it's truly changed everything. Holy mackerel, are y'all still with me? Are you okay after all that? Like, there was a lot, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of questions, and I'm so ready for them. If you are not in our school community, would you please join us? Click the link wherever it may be and come have a good time. And if you are in our school community, thank you. I love you. I'm rooting for you, like hard rooting for you, like with all of my heart, because I truly want you to win. This human design has radically transformed my life, the life of my family. And I think if we all could just see ourselves more clearly, it would be a better world and we'd all have a lot more money and fun. We do have a couple other options. Reed and I both do one-on-ones. We do annual coaching, which is really just like be our best friend for a year. We have 2 other school communities. If you create content or run a business in some way, I invite you to join our Roast My Writing or Roast My Video, which are both on school, where you can just get feedback for the content you create, for your videos, for your writing, so you can get more attention so your business can go further. It's not, there's like no learning. There's no classroom. There's no any of that. You post, we help you. And it's really just a ton of fun. I love y'all lots, and thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Reed, for standing there and watching me yell at the camera for an hour. Thank you. I love you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.